Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
So we didn't always set out to become a farm.
Right.
Sometimes it just happens to you.
Yeah.
Farm life is a thing.
It gets thrust upon you.
You don't choose the farm life. The farm life chooses you, right?
Yeah.
So we had this friend who just asked us if we might be willing to accept this donkey that he had. He needed to rehome this donkey. And I, not knowing much about donkeys, was like, heck yes. Heck yes, we do.
Yeah.
What I know now is that a donkey's lifespan is 30 or 35 years.
Oh my
so
gosh.
he'd probably outlive all of us.
Right.
And that was quite an investment to take on. But at the time, I was just like, more the merrier, bring it.
Yeah.
So this donkey comes to live with us. And the first time I realized something was amiss, I was sitting on the couch, eating dinner, and I felt like somebody was watching me. You ever get that sensation?
I'll be watching you.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And I glance over to the door to see if Sting is there, and it's not. It is a donkey.
Who's Sting?
Isn't he the one who sings "I'll Be Watching You"? The Police?
I never know.
You can edit
artists.
that out.
That's just.
Wasn't it the Police?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Now we both need to fact check.
It
Why
could've
do I
been-
doubt myself? Because you doubt yourself.
No, I just don't know any. I never know who the artists are. I barely know music, but if I happen to know a song, I won't know who the artist is or what the name of the song is.
Okay.
People will be like, "Have you ever heard of Michael Jackson?" I'm like, "Of course not." And then they're like, singing me the song "Man in the Mirror." I'm like, "Yeah, I know that song." Like, well, then you know Michael Jackson. I'm like, "Well, okay, I didn't know that Michael Jackson sang
So
that
you
song.
are not the phone a friend for the pop culture. I'm
Oh,
not
no.
either.
No.
I am not either. That's why I immediately went to self-doubt whenever you didn't know the answer to that question either. I was like, wait.
Growing up in a cult till you're in your early 30s, you just don't get a lot of pop culture references, right? You're very cut off from the world.
That does matter.
Yeah.
Where I really started to gain some ground in that level of education, though, was XM radio, because it puts the song title and the artist on there.
Nice.
And so you start learning it that way if you're a visual learner, and that helped a lot. So so this donkey is given to us, and I felt somebody watching, and I look up, and the donkey has climbed onto the porch and is looking in the front door.
Yeah.
Donkey should have been in the pasture, which has a fence around it, but apparently an incomplete fence, right? Or possibly a broken fence, I don't remember. But nonetheless, there was a donkey on the front porch just peeking in at us.
Aw.
And and so that was cool, and we usher him off the porch, and things are fine until the next morning, whenever stumbled down the kitchen to get that cup of ambition, and there's the donkey looking in the kitchen window. And then we go to get in the car to leave, and we turn around, and there's a donkey standing in the back windshield of the car, looking at, what about me, guys?
Yeah.
And for the next several days, every time you turn around, there is a donkey in that window looking in.
Does donkey have a name?
Hit the road, Jack.
Okay.
Because a male donkey is called a Jack, so that's exactly my level of creativity. But I do like to name animals after song titles whenever possible.
Whenever possible, yeah.
Yeah, but so Jack, but pretty much no, if you have a donkey, you're just going to be like the donkey because he was the only one. And I think that might have been our problem because Donkey began to travel, right? Like he wanted to come in the house with us. He was lonely. Yeah, there's a reason why Noah brought 2 of everything on that ark.
Yeah, they didn't want him lonely.
Creatures are social.
Yeah.
My niece woke up one morning. She lives across the street, kind of down the road a little bit. A piece out in the rural sticks. What you say? She lives down the road a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
over yonder, that used to be a thing. They
so
live over
much.
Yonder.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she opens the front door and there's a donkey on her porch.
Oh.
And it is, in fact, the same donkey, which no big deal. You just shake a feed bag and he'll follow you back home. So that happened. And then a day or two later, we get a phone call from a farmer a mile and a half, 2 miles away. And the donkey had traveled during the night, was standing at his gate whenever he got there that morning to be let back into his pasture where there were many other donkeys. So he's like, no big deal. Donkey's just going to stay here whenever you get your fence fixed. If you want him back, come on back and get him. Which sounded like a great plan, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So years go by and we finally decide, yeah, let's see if Donkey wants to live here again. And we get the fence built. Tim goes to talk to this farmer about getting the donkey, and he's like, no problem. It's your donkey.
Yeah.
We were happy to have him. We're happy for you to take him back.
Yeah.
And so Tim proceeds to fix the fence and get everything set up, and it is going to be a birthday surprise to me. What could be better than a reuniting with...
a jackass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Birthday dreams. And so fence gets built, and he heads over to get the donkey, and the gentleman has changed his mind.
Oh.
Just kind of arbitrarily for no reason. What it was is he was an elected official back in the day who would have never broken a promise, but he's no longer running for office, and he, I guess, wants to make good on all those promises he didn't break before, so he starts breaking them now on my birthday.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
anyhow, Tim was super mad. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because what we discovered is that donkey is a good shepherd if you have cows. A donkey's not a great shepherd if you have goats, because unless they grew up together. If you introduce them later in life, a lot of times there's some aggression, and a donkey will actually stomp a goat.
Dang.
Yeah, which sounds like a metaphor. I'll stomp a goat. But they will.
Wow.
And my goats are small, and I care about them. So,
and we've already had this discussion that I think goats. We probably need to do some PR for goats because, right? The Baphomet devil Satan worshiper people use them. Jesus didn't say nice things about them in the separating of goats.
Did not.
Yeah. So, and then donkeys don't like them. That's what
are we missing? Do we not know enough about goats?
Well.
Is this one of those things
Okay,
where...
hold on. I just had this thought. You know how economists have this idea? We talked about this the other day. Like 2 people on opposite sides of an issue both want the same thing. So basically, the people that believe in the war on drugs, like drugs are bad, okay, and a cartel, both have the same desire, drugs needing to be illegal. In the same sense, this is.
You probably need to flesh that out for anyone who's listening that was not privy to that earlier conversation.
Yeah, basically, if you want, let's say, cocaine and weed to be illegal, any cartel will also agree with you because they go out of business. If you legalize cocaine and weed and you regulate it and tax it and all the good stuff, you just ruin the black market. And the cartel goes out of business. So therefore...
Nancy Reagan wanted it to be illegal to clean up the streets so we don't have, drug-addicted people running around. The cartel wants it to be illegal so that the value of the drug is higher on the black market and they make more money. So 2 polar opposite ends of the spectrum with one common desire in the middle.
That's right.
And
okay, so in that same vein, and again, if we were allowed to use Google on the show, we could come up with this economic term that I can't remember. But is it interesting that both the Satanists and Jesus agree that goats are kind of, well, maybe the Satanists would say they're good.
The Satanists embrace it.
Okay, all right.
Or did the Satanists? I think the Greeks just attribute it to the Satanists, and maybe that's not maybe that's not fair. Here's the thing.
I think my metaphor fell apart. Yeah,
Well,
I didn't think it through.
Maybe it's because they're being compared to sheep, and sheep are docile and easily led, and goats are just ornery. They got a little spunk.
Yeah.
The goat's going to do what a goat wants to do.
Goat gonna do what a goat gonna do.
And I appreciate that. I like that.
Yeah.
So maybe...
Because you're kind of like the goat of southern Mississippi.
If you mean...
Greatest of all time. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
I will own that. Thank you very much.
That's it. That's Laura. Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.